Yo, vlog, man, what it do, what it do, what it do. You already know, it's JH Cole, man, CEO and founder of Jalen Marketing Agency. And right now, this morning, I have been working on the computer all day, getting the campaign ready for a client. So now what I'm about to go do is I am going to head over to the gym, which is the client, Family Fitness. We're going to get them to approve the video campaign, and then we're going to go ahead and launch it. I got everything set, the ad budget, the creative, the media, how we're gonna do it and everything. So basically I'm gonna get their approval, and then I'm gonna get up out of there. I gotta run to Atlanta today. I'm meeting up with GaryVee, Gary Vaynerchuk, man. It's gonna be a great experience. We're gonna take a photo. We're gonna chop it up for a second. So it's gonna be huge, but right now I gotta go take care of business and then make it there. This is all in a journey of you know, building your business, building your brand, and you know, we're the future of sports and entertainment, you know, in marketing and promotion and branding. So if you're serious about taking your business, your brand to the next level, contact me, Jalen Hamilton. Go head over to jalenhamilton.com. You know, check out our services, send me a quick message, and I'll be with you within an hour.
I'll beat your man. I be in the folk to fuck with features, so fatigue and lead the fifth and lead the fan. I be in the street for weeks.
Yo, what's good, man? Y'all already know who it is, YouTube, man. It's your boy, JH Cole, man, CEO, founder of Jalen Marketing. Right now, I'm headed to the ATL, man. I'm about to go meet up with GaryVee. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk, man, CEO of VaynerMedia, VaynerSports. Man, he's killing it right now in business, on social media, and I'm about to go link up, man. So I'm gonna be recording that today. But like I said, I went by my client's place of business, the gym. I ran an ad campaign by them, showing them the video. They approved, they're happy. They even talked about me taking over some other social media things that they have going on. So we're gonna, you know, keep working on that. But I just want to make this vlog, keep y'all updated, man. We on the way to the ATL, man. Let's go! Hey, they're good, right? Okay, how are you? Just the rock and run. 100%.
What's up, man? Am I taking it for me?
Let's do it.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate
The famous D-Rock. Oh,
How are you, man?
how's it going?
All right. How you doing? That's awesome. My game,
Yeah. For sure when Gary goes on or something. So I'm at VaynerSports, not VaynerMedia, but yeah, he definitely will take a break. Yeah.
What you do at VaynerSports, bro?
I do a lot of the content and then negotiations, getting marketing deals, so kind of all over the place.
Are you certified?
Agent, not yet. About a year out. Yeah, not yet. No, yeah. You got to go grad school and like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that like a law or is that?
No, yeah. Like, they made it, official. You have to go undergrad, grad school, and then take the test. Agency, like an agent to represent players. Yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, that's dope. Whoa. We go.
Right here. I'm sure he gave away to Hey, I know I'm live in this thing, man.
We also have Defiance Fuel, so if you guys are thirsty, we have refreshments in the back. Black Rock Coffee, great partner of VaynerSports, a lot of cool stuff we're doing with them on the annual basis. Legends, up and coming, unbelievable, check out the product. Also, some other cool things we have an auction of items over here for sports memorabilia. So just so everyone kind of has the lay of the land for the next 45 minutes, just meet and greet. We have 5 of our NFL players at a time in the back there, signing an limited edition VaynerSports poster. Then at around 2:50, Rob and his crew will be coming up here and playing some music for you guys. And then obviously at the end we'll have a fireside chat hosted by Dave Meltzer, Derek Morgan, Ed Reed, Hall of Famer, and of course GaryVee.
I love corn. You try this? I haven't tried it. I'm about to see.
Nah, don't.
Have you signed your book?
Yeah.
That was dope, bro. That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Have you read it already?
I'm halfway through it. So I just got past the musically joint. So now I'm on Snapchat.
Hey, can we see where Gary signed his book? Yes, sir. Real Estate Randy.
Real Estate Randy. In Atlanta, go Falcons, rise up. Welcome to Atlanta. Appreciate you, GaryVee.
What's up, bro?
It's good and bad and everyone.
Right. That's true. Never know what you get.
I just met her today, guys. Where we at?
The GaryVee meet and greet. Atlanta Tech Village, baby.
Yes, sir. We out here, guys. Yes, sir.
Morning. What's up, Jordan? How are you, bud? You alright? Yeah. Just fluid. You just got in. Good. Man. What's up, man? How you doing, bro? Good to see you, man. You good? Good. Like, just got in.
Nah, it's Mr. Gibbs, 63. Mr. Gibbs, 63. If you looked up Real Estate Randy ATL, you'll find it.
I'm coming with you.
I came to test before, but I was too nice. I used to do something, but I was doing. She said it was okay, and baby, do it, please hold it back. She said there's no turning back, and let me in there.
How you doing? Hey, bro. That's good advice, bro. Hey, follow me on Instagram. I'll see you talking again. Thank you. I appreciate it.
On the show, elevator pitch on Entrepreneur, one of the best dudes I know, former CEO of Lee Steinberg's agency, my guy, Dave Meltzer. There you go.
All right. Quite on the lineup. I'll figure out where I am. Hall of Fame. Was part of the 2001 championship team at the University of Miami. Hey, the U. Recognized as one of the greatest safeties of all time, and I agree with that. Don't hit me. Reed was selected to 9 Pro Bowls and won the 2004 Defensive Player of the Year. Ed Reed. One of my favorites. Since he was drafted in 2010, Derek Morgan has had a consistent defensive presence. A versatile player, Morgan's reputation has been for his grit and non-stop motoring. These skills have translated off the field as he has pursued his MBA and furthered his entrepreneurial interests. He is one hell of a guy, Derek Morgan. See, this is the generational difference.
They told me it was laid back.
It is laid back. What was your first contract? How much did they pay you?
Oh man, about it was said 40, but you know taxes, you know.
Every player's not rich, right?
No.
Keeping rich is the secret.
True.
Next, everybody's favorite, the premier pass rusher and All-American out of college. Kemdiche was considered one of the best defensive tackles among anyone in the draft. He was the first draft pick of the Arizona Cardinals in 2016. Rob has a band, as you have seen, called Formal Addiction with his brother and a few friends. One of my mentors, I think an incredible entrepreneur, philanthropist, businessman. Gary Vaynerchuk, as you know, is the CEO of VaynerMedia and VaynerSports. Gary and his brother AJ were pioneers in the internet, grabbing onto the idea and building an e-commerce business where their father, as well as head of the curve of all time, he's still ahead of the curve. I'm trying to keep up. A 5-time New York Times best-selling author, a prolific angel investor, genius. Gary was an early believer in companies that were kind of small, like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Venmo, and of course Uber. My mentor, your mentor, the incredible GaryVee.
Just telling me how proud he was of me, you know, and so he helped me to start that foundation. I came from a terrible neighborhood, man, you know, crime, infested with crime and drugs and everything, you know, so I work with those same kids. I could relate to those kids, you know, I actually could relate to a bunch of kids because I lived with a guardian angel who's my my high school secretary, and she's a white lady. You know, and I lived with her for 2 years. She's like a mother to me. You know, so I had a lot of people that was setting that foundation for me to get to where I'm at now, to help kids, to give back to kids, you know, and create that foundation. It was to help one, because I was the one that got help. That's how I started my foundation. It was Helping One Foundation. That's what we started off calling it. And it was just to create a ripple effect. So people will start to get back. So those kids have somebody like myself pour into their life, and they would go back and do it. You know, it's amazing to see the kids that we work with at Booker T, and they go back, you know, to their neighborhoods, and they're doing things now.
That's awesome. And speaking of the ripple effect, you know, most people know how difficult it is to make the leap, Derek, but to get your MBA while you're playing, you know, that's extraordinary. And, you know, one of the things, you know, I've done a lot of business coaching in my years, one-on-one, but to reach millions of people like this guy, and now to have a sports agency where they're empowering athletes to figure things out off the field. And I think after, you know, running the most notable sports agency in the world, we tried to figure it out, right? But without the power of what this guy has, the internet, you know, we never could make a true difference. As someone who's, you know, on the field skill set, how has Vayner, AJ, Gary, Justin, etc., how have those guys shown you the skills that you have on the field? How can you utilize those off the field in the entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job of just kind of opening my eyes to like what are the possibilities, right? So how your skill set on the field, the intangibles that you have, whether it be work ethic, discipline, you know, motivation. And the reason why I went with VaynerSports was I had been with the biggest agencies, you know, in the country, and they all did things the same way. And so what VaynerSports brought to the table was a unique perspective because they were so immersed in the business world that they just applied those, you know, those ethics and their approach to the sports world. And so, you know, I work all the time with AJ. You know, we're on the phone almost daily, and you know, I know you don't get paid for that, but I appreciate it. And so, I ask a million questions, right? So, I couldn't call my old agent and be like, hey, what do you think about this investment? You know, what's the cap table looking like? Would you agree with this percent of return? And so, AJ brings that expertise to the table that's invaluable. So I really appreciate him for that.
That's awesome. your personality is bigger than life from the day that I met you. And I've only seen you on the field. Before that, one of the things that's important today is building your own brand. And to that, what I've learned from the guy next to us is your own frequency, right? To not give a shit about what anybody else thinks. You're a unique individual and a unique brand. How have you carried, that brand from the football field and balance? Because you do a lot of stuff. How are you balancing everything?
Playing football, as a person who's done it for such a long time, I keep it, it's first nature, and I'm always, trying to figure out ways to evolve as a football player and a human in general. You know what I mean? And when you have the opportunity to do something you love away from football, you know what I mean, to have impact and have an impact and influence people, and share energy with people, and have musical performances and have fashion. That stuff to me is bigger, because now you got to connect with so much more people. You're not just connecting with a certain kind of realm of people. You're connecting outside of boundaries, and that's kind of what me and GaryVee put together. He has a crazy mind. He has all.
This is my chance to unveil my master plan for Rob.
No.
When Rob retires, he's going to be the biggest superstar in WWE. I got this whole thing out. He's going to be the next giant man in wrestling. Vince, if you're watching, call me.
I would love to be like Sting, like from NWO. If y'all have pain, we'll paint all of us. Us four,
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, we can do it. And y'all can have like a big old.
JYD, bro.
It's been a really fun experience to be able to share arts and that kind of creation with you. All right, bro, how are you, man?
He's an artist. All right. Give me a little script for you, but every one of these athletes, and throughout years I've seen it in business, me personally, how my childhood affected who I am today. I'm 51 years old, and I know that you're not as old as me, but I look back, I talk about my mom, I get choked up. Your childhood was different than a lot of these guys and me, right? It was a different childhood. How did your childhood contribute to who you are today?
It's funny, I'm looking at this kid right here with the Canada hoodie, and I just spoke to him in line. He's 17, he comes from some real adversity in both of his parents' situation, and it was just, back to what Ed's saying, it's just so crazy, right? Like, I'm an immigrant, and I came to the US, and I lived in a studio apartment with a lot of family members. Uncommon, but common, right? Like parents that are on drugs and have issues. Like there's like 57 or 500 cliche stories that everybody can associate with until you go to the actual human that every one of us is. The amount of people that had a secretary in a high school that decided to be their next mom is much lower than people from a bad neighborhood who's an African American male, right? So for me, like, what I've come to realize is, yes, I came from less, but what really happened to me was I was raised by an all-time mother. So much so that if you ask me what's going on in this room right now, it's admiration, because what I'm really doing at this point is just taking what my mom put in me and scaling it, which is unbelievable amount of good intent and love, but with real fucking accountability. Right? Like the place where it gets fucked up is like, people are like, oh, you're gonna overlove your children, but then they can't fucking survive in the world because you created a fucking bubble baby because you gave them 8th place trophies and they're fucking pushover. Right? And so, but you need to love. Like, somebody who's not getting any love is gonna manifest that in a very negative way. So my unique situation was, there was plenty of adversity, which is, I think, foundational to success. But then I had a force in my life that told me I was the best until I proved that I wasn't, right? You're the best, but if you struck out 4 times in Little League, like, you suck. And I think that contradiction, and by the way, this is why I love sports. Unlike all these fake entrepreneurs in this room right now, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm not saying it for negativity, I'm saying it because it's super important. Unlike all the fake entrepreneurs in here, all us fake athletes got exposed. I can't make pretend that I'm a great athlete. It gets played out, we see it. Entrepreneurship, you put in your fucking title on Instagram and everybody believes you right now. When the economy flips, everyone's gonna get exposed. And so, what I love about sports is there's no fucking breathing room. It plays out. You can talk all about what you want, but until you hit the field, that's when it gets exposed. Unlike business and many other things which are hidden, because we don't actually know what's going on. And that's why I've always gravitated to it, because it's so fucking based on merit, period.
Round of applause there. So, quick question for you, Gary.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to tell when an athlete like us aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I get it all the time with entrepreneurs. What do you consider the criteria to say you're a real entrepreneur? What's that criteria?
I don't get to say you're a real, one person's point of view of real entrepreneur, and I have it very clear in my mind. You always did it long before it was cool. Like I want to know the 22-year-old who was slinging blow pops, right, and mowing lawns and flipping Pokemon cards. Like, people are on now. Entrepreneurship is like athletes and rappers now. Like, I could walk through Atlanta and get love now because I'm an entrepreneur. That wasn't the case 15 years ago, which means everybody wants to come in. And so, my criteria is you can't breathe if you're not doing it. But everybody's got different criteria. I can tell you there's a very big difference between being an entrepreneur and being a successful entrepreneur, right? And so I think what's important to me right now, the number one fear I have in the macro, in this conversation, is that there's a lot of people flexing on social like they're winning. They're gonna lose. They've been telling everybody they've been winning, and now they gotta go get a job at fucking Waffle House, and they're not ready to deal with that scarlet letter, and I'm concerned how they're gonna deal with that. And so there's a lot of underlying depression, and even worse, that's about to mount, because people are faking it until they make it. Most aren't gonna make it. Unlike the people that faked it till they made it in 1984, they were embarrassed amongst 4 or 5 people. Everybody here is gonna be embarrassed to everybody. You like that, huh?
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny because people aren't talking about this. And I'm talking about it because there's a lot of pain that comes on the other side of that kind of framework. So I'm talking about it now, hopefully allowing people to be self-aware. This is why I'm talking about shit like sell your home and downsize, and go back, move in with your mom, like real shit. Like, how about saving some money? Like, I haven't heard the last time somebody say save money. So I think we have to, especially because we've had 9.5 years. By the way, if you're not successful during this economy, you fucking suck. I'm being serious. I'm being serious. Under 30-year-olds are confused. You've only had a very fluffy, fake environment. The reason he just high-fived me is we've been through some shit. So, what I'm concerned about is people don't understand. They don't understand to make money, not raise money. They don't understand to save. People are gonna get exposed, and I'm not saying that like I'm cool and I'm gonna be still winning. I'm saying that like check yourself, like be thoughtful, like understand history.
Yeah.
I think Gary's cool. I don't know if you're talking
about. Yeah,
Gary. I was telling Gary, I was about to steal Gary's hat and sell it. Gary's
That's an entrepreneur.
No, I'm telling you, because Gary's had such an influence on me. I want to make sure I'm able to sell whatever I can sell. Whether it be, whatever it is you like to wear, your favorite thing, just don't sell your body.
But, go get 13 sacks next year and I'll sell everything you ever fucking do.
Yes, I will.
Winning wins.
No, I'm telling you, yes.
One of the things that I've learned, Gary, too, is assumption. I lost over $100 million, so I know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and that was the first time I learned the lesson about, when the guy shining my shoes was giving me stock tips, I shouldn't be selling my stock, right? It's real simple. Second time around, I started looking at assumptions, right? It's not the decisions you make, it's the assumptions that you're making to make those decisions, and you gotta make sure they're clear, so ask for help. That's why these videos that I watch still today, I'm picking up those assumptions that I thought I had. Ed, talking backwards now. Ed, every athlete, professional athlete especially, dies twice. And I know you just felt this, right? Every professional athlete dies twice. And that second, that first death, no matter if you're successful or not, guys have plenty of money. I've seen it. They go into depression. They can't take the emotional side because you have done something consistently. And this is what Gary's talking about. When the hard times hit, and you've done something consistently since you've been 5. and then you have to stop because you're bankrupt? What are you doing now to transition from something you did every day of your life? Now you have to transition into a new life. What are you doing to make that transition?
I mean, I prepared myself for after football. When I left the University of Miami, first my goal was to graduate first before anything, and I did that. And it was preparing myself for after football, you know, because I came into football knowing that there was a saying that NFL stands for not for long. And when I heard that, I was like, I need to change that. My mentality switched quick. I need a need for longevity. So how can I get longevity in the NFL? And what I want to be doing after that, because it happens like that. It's a short-lived career. I had a 12-year career. The span of a football player was 3.5 to 4 years or something like that. You know, and it's a little skewed because of free agents and stuff and people going out the locker room daily. You know, I had guys, and we've seen guys go in and out of the league like that. I mean, day to day, Tuesday they're there, Wednesday they're gone. You know, so I saw this. You know, I was a first rounder. I was fortunate enough to be a first rounder. So I had, my first financial advisor was Jeff Rubin. And if you got some research on you got your iPhone, like I know, type in Jeff Rubin and see how much money he stole from just Miami athletes, guys that were my teammates. I fired Jeff Rubin my first year in the NFL. I caught it like that, like something ain't right. You know, I was pretty savvy with my money. You know, I saved money when I was in high school. I had a little green box I used to keep my money in. You know, my uncle and my brother used to go, they going out on the weekend, and you know, and I'm learning from that. Like, I don't want to be doing that on the weekend. I'm gonna be working. You know, they borrowing money from me. You're 20-something years old, 30 years old. You know, why you borrowing money from me? You know, and my dad laid that foundation, man. My dad worked really hard, you know, to provide for us. He moved me out of Shrewsbury, where I grew up at, you know, to another neighborhood. So I saw that, those steps being taken to be better, you know. So when I was in the NFL, I understood that I'm my company. You're your own company. Each one of us in here is a company. I'm my own company. So it never mattered what somebody else was doing. Any other player, I never compared myself to any other safety. I didn't care. I was telling that to the young guy over here, that I wanted to be my best.
Hell yeah.
I didn't give a shit what somebody else was doing. It didn't matter to me what somebody else was doing. I wanted to be my absolute best. And if I was my absolute best, I was happy with that. You know, so I was preparing myself for after football, coaching guys in the league. I was known as a player's coach, or a coach's player, you know, coaching the guys on the field, per se. You know, so now I can go into coaching if I want to. I tell some of my ex-teammates the easiest way to make $100 million is to go coach football. You know, but I love the game. It wasn't about money. It's never about money for me. I get a shit about money. You know, my happiness and richness is here. You know, that's why I didn't give a shit what nobody else is doing. You know, I appreciate that. You know, so it was preparing yourself for life after football, knowing we know it's not going to, that's why my man get this MBA. He knows it's not going to last long. But you'll see guys that don't invest in themselves. I used to spend 60 to 100K on myself in season, in off season, to be better, to recover for the next year. You got guys buying rims. I don't want no fucking rims. I don't want the jury. You don't see me wearing jury. I got a Super Bowl championship and a national championship ring that I wear on a Jordan shoestring. You know, two things you'll die for, right? Some Jordans and a championship.
And well spoken.
Yeah, so as you talk about building a company, everyone should invest in themselves. We talk about building a brand for that company. Gary, do you have any quick advice? You know, you talked about the fear, you know, it struck core to me. I was like, you know, nobody had 200 followers before you started helping me. Now it's like, shit, I fuck up, everybody's gonna know it, not just my mom. You know, what advice would you give? You know, I believe in investing in yourself and building your own company, but building your own brand is different.
I think there's a couple things that stand out. Number one, self-awareness is everything. If you're confused of who you are, you're going to be vulnerable. A lot of people that come into my ethos after a little while, they want to be like me. And I always try to push, I'm like, if you want to be like me, that means that you're uniquely going all in on who you know you are, right? Like, there's, you know, it's really funny. I don't know if you've noticed, I stay in a very, 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 very narrow lane. I could be talking about a lot of other stuff. Oftentimes people leave comments like, yo, GaryVee, are you gonna say the same shit? And sometimes I'll jump in and I'll be like, well, do you want me to just make up shit? Right? You've got to stay within your zone. Because once you talk, to build a brand, and so many people think about how do I build a personal brand, the only unique thing you have is you. This is why everybody's struggling on Instagram. Everyone's doing what everybody else is doing. So it all looks the same. You've only got your uniqueness, right? Everybody's got your ideas, your recipes, your concepts. Everybody's got those. It's execution. So first you've got to get unique as fuck and realize all your weird little shit is really the only strength you've got because we cross over 90%. Then you have to understand where the attention is, right? That's how it plays. Do you know why we all know football? Because something called television came along. Because when it was a radio sport, people didn't give a fuck as much. Boxing and horse racing and baseball played for radio. Football played on TV, right? So now that we've got the internet, you need to know what plays there. That's where the next opportunities were. So for me, I stay true, and then I focus on where are people paying attention. Not where do I want. I met a nice guy today, and he's like, I got this website. I was like, don't go all in on that. People want to consume content on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and podcast. You want to be selfish and get them to your website, you're going to get caught because you're creating friction. I write articles and do videos and I do audio because I have no idea how you want to consume. If you want to consume me while you're walking the dog in a podcast, I've got to have that. I don't get to choose. I do everything for you. So at the end of the day, know what you're about. Don't make up stuff that you don't know. Your just experiences enough. Documenting versus creating, just your life is already interesting enough. Your perspective, your hot take, your 2 cents. But then pay attention to where people are consuming. And once you respect the platform where people consume, and you are 100% predicated on actually bringing value to the other party, you win. By the way, that's why I know what VaynerSports is going to do. This conversation, this is an advanced conversation, a thoughtful one, but what was rare was a thoughtful one when these 2 guys came up. Just a decade ago, 15 years ago, this was a rare conversation. These 20-year-old kids coming now, they're thoughtful. Entrepreneurship got cool, so they paid attention a little more, right? And so this next breed, kids are going to be retiring earlier because they've got options. Like there's a lot of different things, so you have to build for the now. We jumped in because of passion, because of AJ, but we also jumped all the way in because we know exactly what it's about to look like, not what it used to be.
No, the reason people love Gary is people buy on emotion for logical reasons, right? It's been a cornerstone of traditional sales. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. And when you listen to all 4 of these people, they're very emotional. They can't answer a question without emotion. And Derek, one of the ways that you see emotions portrayed is through what we do with good intent, right? All of our moms taught us to be good people. There are probably 4 heroes between the 4 of you that are all the same. Your mom. Tell me about how your frequency, your true north, your trajectory is aimed towards your STEM foundation. Giving is one thing, giving unconditionally is another. How does that change your brand and your life by doing good?
Just changing my perspective, right? So when I came into the league, I was very selfish, and I was thinking about me. I was a 21-year-old out of Georgia Tech, and thought I had life figured out. And quickly, I had a son at 22. I got married at 24, so I had to grow up very fast. And I started changing and shifting my perspective on the, what's going to be my impact, what's going to be my legacy, right? And so I come from a place in coastal Pennsylvania, not a lot of opportunity. And so for me, football was my way out. And so I was blessed enough to have an athletic skill set to get out of Coatesville, to go to a Division I school on a full ride and thankfully get drafted. But a lot of kids won't have that opportunity. And so if it's only sports, you're seeing kids get lost to this vicious cycle, right? And so I started, back in 2015, looking at ways, how I could, make an impact back in my high school outside of just having like a traditional football camp. And my buddy who works at Microsoft, he had this nonprofit called Athletech, and it combined the world of sports and technology. And when I was in DC for his camp, I noticed all the kids were gravitating towards the tech portion of the camp more than the actual football portion. And like what Gary said, is this new generation of kids that are exposed to this at a lot early age, and it's becoming more prevalent. And so with the STEM camp, it's basically me trying to be intentional on expounding the opportunities for kids. So like if you're not good at football, but you want to learn how to code, like, you should learn how to code. There's a lot of jobs for you that pay good for that. And everybody's not gonna go to school, you know? So when I grew up, it was like, if you didn't go to college, you weren't successful. And so, like Gary said, entrepreneurship is becoming sexy now. Like, kids wanna be entrepreneurs. And so, that's basically like the lane I've been in STEM and entrepreneurship, and trying to increase the opportunities for kids who usually don't see them.
All right, Rob, your passion is also music, you know, and there's a ton of opportunity in entrepreneurship and music. How are you utilizing that spirit of excellence that you have? You know, the top level, I call it a higher vibration that all these guys have, right? They're aware of more, right? We have a greater awareness when we vibrate faster. There's nothing more that aligns with the vibration than music. How are you utilizing your music today to figure out the future of your career?
Well, music's such an inspiration to me, you know what I mean? I've been inspired, you know, by so many musicians, and I want to use the platform I have, you know, with football, with music, to connect with as many people I connect with, and share energy, you know what I mean, and raise people's vibrations, just like you were saying, higher vibrations, and helping people get to those high vibrations, you know what I mean, through interactions and coexisting, you know what I mean, and being together. Oh, my bad. Oh, geez, okay, and you know, I mean, and just being able to, you know, coexist and really use that and build that and use music to play and let people experience those moments in time, because that's really what it comes down to, you know what I mean? How people can be, you know, free in moments, you know what I mean? And feel that, you know, unconditional love, and feel that divine, you know, love, and that's what it's about, me, you know, just being able to connect, you know, with as many people as you can connect to in this world, and you know, just having guys like this around me who've done it, you know, and they've lived it, and they've invested, and they've had time. So, and you know, seeing that is just more of a, you know, focal point for me to keep using music and growing and using art and trying to connect people, and trying to help, you know, and you know, expand, you know, because that's what, you know, that's what it's about at the end of the day, expanding, you know, yourself internally, you know, psychologically too. So.
Guys are incredible. And inspiration is so important in everything that we do, right? I call it in spirit, right? You're connected to that which fires you up. And the most common question entrepreneurs give me, Gary, is, dude, how do you stay inspired every day? Like, your lives suck sometimes, right? And some days you have bad days, good days, it wasn't a perfect life. But the difference between what I see in you is that although things are a setback maybe, it becomes a setup because you're inspired. Gary, how do you, number one, inspire? So, you know, I watch you every day. And then two, how can you inspire other people the same way?
I'll go to number two first. I think the easiest way to inspire is to execute and let your actions speak. I mean, people know. Like, there's people play parts, and then there's people that execute. You can't hide, right? Like, everybody around you can make a video too. So execution, I think, is how you actually inspire. The first one's super simple. The reason so many entrepreneurs roll up on me and say things like, how do you like stay with it all the time? I'm like, because I'm an entrepreneur. When you're an entrepreneur, you love the fucking game. When you really love your shit, like, I don't like going to the gym, right? Like I don't like that. I don't like most things. But like, my hobby is building businesses. As my mom's really like reminded me of something, and then my friend Robbie Turnick, he's like, yo, you do know that 80% of our summers were jobs? Like, from 6, 7, 8 years old, I thought it was fun to wash somebody's car for $5 instead of like doing something else. And lemonade stand and this, it was in me. Of course I'm always into it. It's my hobby. It's what I would do when I don't have anything else to do. I want to do business shit, right? And the problem is, in entrepreneurship currently, 80% of people are doing it for the money. Like, if you're gonna do this for money, it's gonna suck, because it's hard. Like, guys, I always say this, especially like this kind of like context, I think everyone's very, very, very confused. In America, one of the richest countries in the world, the bottom of the 1% earners, if you are the 1%, you make $440,000 a year. If you make $440,000 a year, you're in the 1%. But people don't contextualize it. Everybody thinks making $1 million a year is just like the beginning, right? We are completely confused by that genre and that framework. To me, it's so, you saying, how do you stay inspired or be in it, is literally like asking somebody, how do you breathe oxygen? I don't know anything else. And for me, the only thing I'm willing to dwell on is if 15 people in the world are sick or dying. Otherwise, it's fixable.
You made many transitions and pivots in your career. When we met, you were starting a sports agency.
Yep.
And I had a sports agency, and it didn't make me happy, so I pivoted myself.
Yep.
And figured out how I could do things differently. How did VaynerSports come to fruition?
It's funny, I saw the picture on the flight down here. I wore a Walter Powell jersey to a Jets game, and a picture was taken. Mook Williams saw it, there's Mook, saw it, DM'd me. He's like, what the fuck are you doing with a Walter Powell jersey? We went back and forth, and then like 4, 5, 6 months later, he DM'd me when I was in Miami on business, and I called him, and he goes, hey, there might be an opportunity for you to invest in our agency. Are you interested? And I said, yes, mainly because I know what my long-term ambitions are, and it wasn't about short-term ROI. I didn't really, wanted to get a sense, could we afford it, knowing that AJ would be involved. AJ was still working at VaynerMedia at that point. Several months later, AJ walks in, he's like, I want to make a transition in my career. I don't want to do the VaynerMedia thing anymore. After a little bit of thinking, he's like, I want to get into the sports thing. When AJ was a kid, he wanted to be a sports agent, very kind of like classic thing that a lot of kids wanted to be that couldn't play, right? And so we just went at it, and it was just kind of a whole lot of serendipity, just a whole lot of serendipity, but really not really, right? Like when you actually know what you're up to and you know what your ambition is, like I've always known, what's up, Walt? I have always known that like I want to try to buy the New York Jets. And I really think I'm going to, and when I do, I want to be disproportionately the best owner towards the players, the same way I feel like I'm a great boss for VaynerMedia, because that's the asset. And so I'm excited. I'm excited that I'm going to have 20, 30 years of sports representation under my belt for that moment when I take the next step. And by the way, you collect people along the way, right? People become advisors, right? Kyle might be my GM one day when he's older. You go through this journey, and so I'm super excited about it. I think it'll make a hell of a lot of sense when it's all wrapped up in a bow.
So make a great movie.
That's the plan. Try to win some fucking Oscars around here.
All right, last round of questions. I'll start, Ed. We'll come this way. It's one of my favorite questions. What I believe allows people to manifest or attract or allow what they want is to put faith into something. And the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is they put faith into the wrong thing. They put faith into outcomes, into money, into the wrong people, assumptions. I'd like each of you to tell me as we go down the line, what do you put your faith in?
Good Lord first. And just having faith, that I'm gonna be successful in what I do. I trust myself, I have confidence in what I'm doing, and I don't let anybody take me away from that. Like I said, it's not about what other people's doing. It's about what I want to do and what makes me happy. I'm gonna do what makes me happy, and I'm enjoying building a brand of cigars because I enjoy smoking cigars. You know what I'm saying? So, and I want to do it my way. I have a company I'm working with, and they're trying to force me to do something I don't want to do. Like, I'm not doing it. So it's just being happy, man. Enjoying yourself.
Yo, V-Law, what's good, man? So I just left the GaryVee event. It was amazing. I got to link up with him, talk to him. I got to get a photo with him, man, so it was pretty great. Right now, I'm in ATL up here where I used to stay. At the post office, man, I had to come pick up my mail. Had a ton of mail, man. Ton of mail, ton of bills, ton of people wanting nothing. Half of it's probably gonna get trashed. Some of it's probably important. And get back to the grind, man. So I got a bunch of content I got to get back on and start chopping it up, get it out for y'all, man. So I hope y'all enjoyed this vlog. It's JH Co. You already know. Let's go. See y'all at the top. Keep working hard, man. Let's go.